All right, everybody, welcome to another Chattering Magpie read along with me and the gang. Oh my goodness, we are continuing our journey through Anne of Green Gables, and excited because we have a full roster of of characters. But thankfully, this time it's not four people. I mean, one person has to read four people. This time we're pretty well set up. So happy to see you, gang, here. Thank you for joining me today. Hello, gang.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
Sorry, I usually give you your cue. Say hello, gang. Okay, there we go. There's your cue.
Well, you see, you tell us to shut up, and then we just shut up, and then you're
my
like,
God.
"Why aren't you talking? What? Hey, why aren't you talking, people?"
All right. Fair enough. I do usually tell them before the live, shut up. Though not in those words. I beg your pardon. I say, please
You definitely
be
told me to
quiet.
shut up today because I was being annoying.
Well, Patrick, I don't think anybody would be surprised if I did use such harsh language on you because you are a troublemaker. But
What?
I am so happy to see that we have some folks on the gang, and I am excited because Teal has shared some of her poetry. So I'm going to get to your comment, but first let me just read Little Butterfly's comment. Little Butterfly, hello, says, I fear the tragedy of my absence shall be sorely felt for an eternity for missing this read-along. Endure well, fellow readers. I shall strive to make it to future read-alongs. Wow, Little Butterfly, that was amazing. Yep, you're definitely an Anne. We will miss you, though. And hope that you enjoy.
We were talking before you joined the chat that a lot of these characters in Anne of Green Gables they have their little taglines like Matthew likes to say, "Well now," or Rachel's like, "I do say,
I declare."
Yes, I declare.
Yeah, it's nice to see them have their own little speech patterns, and Ellen Montgomery being able to so consistently put them in sprinkle them and their little mannerisms and little quirks in her writing. It's really sweet. But yeah, Matthew is always like, well, now. I should do like a search and see how many times Matthew says, well, now. I'll do that another time, not right now. We also have Teal. Teal said, I have written another haiku in honor of the upcoming full moon and the mournful moon that marks all of our missing friends and would-be participants idle on Discord. Yes, please share it with us, Teal. It says, can you read it in Japanese, Teal, please?
もちろんです。雨ようにも雲間に開く月の花。
Oh my gosh, that is beautiful. It says, even on a rainy night, in a break between the clouds, the moon brightly blooms. Wow, that's very pretty. Bravo. Yay. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, for all of you who are not able to join us live, I hope that you enjoy the replay and that you can join us next time. Again, we have fairly consistent hours. We have Friday 1 p.m. Pacific, Wednesday 4 p.m. Pacific, and Sundays we have watch parties over on the Discord server. Not this week, not last Sunday, but this Sunday we will return to having them. We will watch 5 and 6. Speaking of 5 and 6, I'm a little behind, but I have already I'm working on editing the review for episode 3. I already released episode 2 for members. I released episode 2. Right now I'm halfway through editing episode 3, and I am working also on, I have like 20% of the rough cut for episode 4 review. So we're getting there. Hopefully this week I will be able to
Slowly
release them
but
all.
surely. And surely that is.
Slowly but surely. Love it. Good pun right there. Teal also says, I think it also symbolizes a strong but invisible feelings between Anne and Diana, even if they can no longer show their friendship in public. Oh my goodness, gang, do you remember what happened in the last chapter? That brings this to mind. What happened between these two girls?
Well, a certain someone got her friend drunk.
By accident.
Sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, somebody got a little intoxicated with the currant wine. They thought that it was raspberry cordial, and sadly, it was not so. I mean, at least it was tasty, right? The book said...
I am a little worried about Diana. I'm worried she's going to become a lush in her future years.
Oh no, oh no.
Oh, she very much enjoyed the hell out of that.
3 tumblerfuls.
Yeah, that's
enough.
a bit.
Enough for Marilla to call her greedy.
Yeah, that's quite a lot, right? So I'm pretty sure that Diana doesn't end up a lush. One could be a happily married person, or, you know.
Oh, speaking of her being married, a certain redhead who has a very active imagination, she absolutely detests her friend's future husband, and that was an entertaining scene.
Yes. Yeah, I can't say I relate, because when I was growing up, my best friend and we dreamed of running away and setting up like our own kind of like situation, like a farm, and then just having a whole bunch of cats and stuff. Like, she had her farm next to my farm, and we would have cats and animals and stuff. I still kind of wish I could do that. That's still one of my dreams, one day, to do like to live in a farm and in a cottage of sorts. I don't know, somewhere out in the country. Half of me wants to do farm, half of me wants to do English cottage situation. They're totally different vibes. I don't know which vibe I like the best. So, but again, I have zero experience raising animals. Every plant that I have taken care of has died, so that doesn't bode well for my crops, you guys. So I'm taking advice from other people, and maybe just holding off on that dream for a little bit. But I think it would be nice to keep chickens. Yes, that would be nice. Let's see.
You see, you know, when I was a kid, I didn't really hear about anybody ever keeping chickens or livestock like that, but now it's like everybody has them.
Yeah. I think a lot has to do with like the health food movement too. Because growing up, you were vegetarian. When I was growing up, people that were vegetarian had like a really crappy time of like finding food that was, you know, tasty out in restaurants or whatever. But because people have gotten more health conscious, I think they're like, well, rather than raise eggs that are like, you know, from chickens in cages, we'd rather just have like a more humane method of having eggs with happy chickens. We'll still get their babies, but at least they'll be happier or something like that. I don't know.
I was about to say, I thought vegetarians couldn't have eggs.
No, those are vegans.
I still get the two confused.
Well, yeah. Maybe it's lacto-ovo vegetarians. They drink milk and they have eggs. I don't know. I'm not the vegetarian spokesperson, you guys. I am vegetarian, quote unquote, but I do eat fish and eggs.
She's a fake vegan.
No, I'm not vegan. I never said I was vegan, dude.
I'm teasing you. It's what I do.
Do not besmirch my good name. No, I'm sorry. I don't know why, you guys. Vegan, the word vegan, like you call somebody a vegan, sometimes it like has these terrible connotations. I don't have absolutely anything against veganism. In fact, after in college, I did a vegan stint. I didn't eat eggs or dairy, for reasons, like being like conscious about animals and stuff like that. Of course, that fell through, but now I still have friends that are vegan. I respect them. I try to accommodate them as best as possible. But anyway, all that to say is, I'm half joking when I say don't besmirch my name, because a lot of times like people say, oh, vegans are so militant and they're always pushing their little agenda. And that's not true. At least in the case, at least in the cases that I know. Oh my goodness, you guys. Let me just finish saying hello to the people. I think we are running out of time for this little banter, early live banter. Let's see. I also want to say hello to Akihana, who just woke up. Hello, Sleeping Beauty, rise and shine. Hope you have a wonderful Thursday. We also have Hirami, who's joined us. By the way, Teal and Hirami have made it to light blue diamond. So they are our two oldest, not two oldest, our two senior most YouTube members. So congratulations. Who else is with us? Yeah, it's Akihana says, and in Anne's case, can you imagine drunk Diana? Can't relay either, because I was never even imagining weddings or marriages as a child. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you know what? There is marriages and stuff, but it's kind of like distinct, because when you play with your Barbies and your Kens, they get married and they have babies and they live in a house forever, right? But that's just, at least for me, that was as far as I got. Like, I was never like, when I get married or whatever. It was just Barbie and Ken get married. And I would just have them go on adventures. Pescatarian. Akihana says she's a pescatarian, I guess. I don't know if pescatarian, because I thought I called myself pescatarian, but then they were like, why don't you eat shrimp or crabs or things like that? And I'm like, because no, I just eat fish, like salmon and stuff like that. I don't eat shrimp or
I mean, you can be a pescatarian and not eat those things. I would still call you weird, but
that is true. Why would that be weird? That's not weird. That's just preference.
Because shrimp and lobster and crab are delicious.
They are not. They are well, never mind. They're bottom feeders, dude. You can't eat that.
Look, my mom has this gross story about me eating a cockroach when I was an infant, so I can't really say anything about eating bottom feeders.
Patrick! I did not need to know.
And now you do.
Oh gosh, now I'm gonna... Yeah, that's one of the biggest phobias I have, like crawling, creeping animals. Ugh, I hate them. They just... no.
Look, infants put all kinds of things in their mouths. I can't be held responsible for infant Patrick.
Okay. You get a pass. Alright, so, oh, by the way, Hirami says, likes Angelica's, your diamond is now at Angelica's color. Also, yes, we have new emotes. Thank you to all of you who have been supporting the channel by joining, and also to those of you who have been supporting the channel by gifting memberships that allows it so that I can include more emotes. So I am working through more. Yes, I put Elvira, and yes, I put a little what's his face, Benno, and I think more mine. I forget what other ones I did. So do check them out.
Eustace.
All right, you guys, it's been... Oh yeah, Eustace is there too. Thank you. Where is Eustace? I kind of feel like pulling him up. Let's see. Where is Eustace? Yes, Eustace. Yes, there he is. All right, everybody. Yay. Oh, look at you, Patrick, showing up all the things. Yes, I shall be adding more. Don't worry, you guys. Okay, it's 16 minutes since we started. I think we should really start reading. I don't know,
I mean, we can fill more time if we want.
we could, I guess, but I think the folks here that join us, they want.
Let's get to the reading.
Yeah, exactly. So let's not disappoint them and read. All right, folks, thank you for your patience. We've been having fun, and it's been a while since I caught up with these fine folks, so please excuse us. Let's see. Today we are reading chapter 17 and 18. Chapter 17 is A New Interest in Life, and the other one, I think it's Anne Saves the Day. Today reading we have Anne is going to be read by Hiremi. Marilla is going to be read by Teal. Diana shall also be read by Teal. The Doctor is going to be read by Patrick. Matthew is going to be read by Patrick as well. And Julia Bell will be read by Hiremi. And I shall be your kind and friendly narrator. All right, everybody ready? Let us do this. And of course, we can't forget, thank you to Hiremi and Teal for highlighting this. Welcome, Red Tempest. Happy to see you on the chat. Join us if you're able to.
Join us.
All right, let's do this. Chapter 17. A New Interest in Life. The next afternoon, Anne, bending over her patchwork at the kitchen window, happened to glance out and beheld Diana down by the Dryad's bubble, beckoning mysteriously. In a trice, Anne was out of the house and flying down to the hollow, astonishment and hope struggling in her expressive eyes. But the hope faded when she saw Diana's dejected countenance.
Your mother hasn't relented,
she gasped. Diana shook
No.
her head mournfully.
No. And oh, Anne, she says I'm never to play with you again. I've cried, and I told her it wasn't your fault, but it wasn't any use. I had ever such a time coaxing her to let me come down and say goodbye to you. She said I was only to stay 10 minutes, and she's timing me by the clock.
10 minutes isn't very long to say an eternal farewell in,
said Anne tearfully.
Oh, Diana, will you promise faithfully never to forget me, the friend of your wolf, no matter what dear friend may carry us there?
Indeed I will,
sobbed Diana.
And I'll never have another bosom friend. I don't want to have. I couldn't love anybody as I love you.
Oh, Diana,
cried Anne, clasping her hands.
do you love me?
Why, of course I do. Didn't you know that?
No.
Anne drew a long breath.
I thought you liked me, of course, but I never hoped you loved me. Why, Diana, I didn't think anybody could love me. Nobody ever has loved me since I can remember. Oh, this is wonderful. It's a ray of light which will forever shine on darkness of a path severed from thee, Diana. Oh, just say it once again.
I love you devotedly, Anne.
said Diana staunchly.
And I always will. You may be sure of that.
And I will always love thee, Diana,
said Anne, solemnly extending her hand.
In the years to come, thy memory will shine like a star over my lonely life. As the last day story we read together says, Diana, wilt thou give me a lock of thy jet black tresses in parting to treasure forevermore?
Have you got anything to cut it with?
queried Diana, wiping away the tears which Anne's affecting accents had caused to flow afresh, and returning to practicalities.
Yes, I've got my patchwork scissors in my emperor pocket, fortunately,
said Anne. She solemnly clipped one of Diana's curls.
fare thee well, My beloved friend, henceforth we must be as strangers though living side by side, but my heart will ever be faithful to thee.
Anne stood and watched Diana out of sight, mournfully waving her hand to the latter whenever she turned to look back. Then she returned to the house, not a little consoled for the time being by this romantic parting.
It's all over.
She informed Marilla.
I shall never have another friend. I'm really worse off than ever before, for I haven't Katie Marie's and Violetta now, and even if I had it, wouldn't be the same. Somehow, little dream girls are not satisfied after a real friend. Diana and I had such an affecting farewell down this by this spring. It will be sacred by my memory forever. I used the most pathetic language I could think of and said though and thee seem so much more romantic than you. Diana gave me a lock of her hair, and I'm going to sew it up like a little bag and wear it around my neck all my life. Please see that it is buried with me, but I don't believe I will live very long. Perhaps when she sees me lying cold and dead before her, Mrs. Barrys may feel remorse. So what she has done and will let Diana come to my funeral.
I don't think there is much fear of your dying of grief as long as you can talk, Anne.
Said Marilla unsympathetically. The following Monday, Anne surprised Marilla by coming down from her room with her basket of books on her arm and hip and her lips primed up into a line of determination.
I'm going back to school.
She announced.
That is all there is left in life for me. Now that my friend has been ruthlessly torn from me, in school I can look at her and muse over days departed.
You'd better muse over your lessons and sums.
Said Marilla, concealing her delight at this development of the situation.
You're going back to school. I hope we'll hear no more of breaking slates over people's heads and such carryings on. Behave yourself and do just what your teacher tells you.
I will try to be a model pupil.
Agreed Anne dolefully.
There won't be much fun in it, I expect. Mr. Phillips and Minnie Andrews was said Minnie Andrews was a model pupil, and there isn't a spark of imagination or life in her. She's just dull and pokey and never seems to have a good time. But I feel so depressed that perhaps it will come easy to me now. I'm going round by the road. I couldn't bear to go by the birch path all alone. I could weep bitter tears if I did.
Anne was welcomed back to school with open arms. Her imagination had been sorely missed in games. Her voice in the singing, and her dramatic ability in the perusal aloud of books at dinner hour. Ruby Gillis smuggled 3 blue plums over to her during Testament reading. Ella Meg Macpherson gave her an enormous yellow pansy cut from the covers of a floral catalogue, a species of desk decoration much prized in Avonlea school. Sophia Sloane offered to teach her a perfectly elegant new pattern to knit lace, so nice for trimming aprons. Katie Bolter gave her a perfume bottle to keep her slate water in, and Julia Bell copied carefully on a piece of pale pink paper, scalloped on the edges, the following effusion. To Anne.
To
Oh,
Anne.
never mind. Sorry, go ahead.
To Anne. When twilight drops her curtains down, and pin it with a star. Remember that with a star. Remember that you have a friend, though she may wander far. It's so nice to be appreciated.
Said Anne rapturously to Marilla that night. The girls were not the only scholars who appreciated her. When Anne went to her seat after dinner hour, she had been told by Mr. Phillips to sit with the model Minnie Andrews. She found on her desk a big, luscious strawberry apple. Anne cut it up, all ready to take a bite, when she remembered that the only place in Avonlea where strawberry apples grew was in the old Blythe orchard on the other side of the Lake of Shining Waters. Anne dropped the apple as if it were a red-hot coal and ostentatiously wiped her fingers on her handkerchief. The apple lay untouched on her desk until the next morning, when little Timothy Andrews, who swept the school and kindled the fire, annexed it as one of his perquisites. Charlie Sloane's slate pencil, gorgeously bedizened with striped red and yellow paper, costing 2 cents where ordinary pencils cost only one, which he set up to her after dinner hour, met with a more favorable reception. Anne was graciously pleased to accept it, and rewarded the donor with a smile which exalted that infatuated youth straightway into the seventh heaven of delight, and caused him to make such fearful errors in his dictation that Mr. Phillips kept him in after school to rewrite it. But as the Caesar's pageant shorn of Brutus' bust, did but Rome's best son remind her more. So the marked absence of any tribute or recognition from Diana Barry, who was sitting with Gertie Pye, embittered Anne's little triumph.
Diana might just have smiled at me once, I think.
She mourned to Marilla that night, but the next morning a note most fearfully and wonderfully twisted and folded, and a small parcel were passed across to Anne.
Dear Anne, Mother says I'm not to play with you or talk to you even in school. It isn't my fault, and don't be cross at me, because I love you as much as ever. I miss you awfully to tell all my secrets to, and I don't like Gertie Pye one bit. I made you one of the new bookmarkers out of red tissue paper. They are awfully fashionable now, and only 3 girls in school know how to make them. When you look at it, remember, your true friend, Diana Barry.
Anne read the note, kissed the bookmark, and dispatched the prompt reply back to the other side of the school.
My own darling Diana, of course I'm not cross at you because you have to obey your mother. Our spirits can commute. I shall keep your lovely present forever. Minnie Andrews is a very nice little girl, although she has no imagination. But after having been Diana's bosom friend, I cannot be Minnie's. Please excuse mistakes because of my spelling isn't very good yet, although much improved. Yours until death us apart.
I'm sorry, you cut off at the end.
Yeah. Yours until death do us part. That's where it started to break up.
Yours until death us do apart, Anne or Cordelia Shirley. P.S. I shall sleep with your letter until my under my pillow tonight. A or C.S.
Marilla pessimistically expected more trouble since Anne had again begun to go to school, but none developed. Perhaps perhaps Anne caught something of the model spirit from Minnie Andrews. At least she got on very well with Mr. Phillips thenceforth. She flung herself into her studies heart and soul, determined not to be outdone in any class by Gilbert Blythe. The rivalry between them was soon apparent. It was entirely good-natured on Gilbert's side, but it is much to be feared that the same thing cannot be said of Anne, who had certainly an unpraiseworthy tenacity for holding grudges. She was as intense in her hatreds as in her loves. She would not stoop to admit that she meant to rival Gilbert in schoolwork, because that would have been to acknowledge his existence, which Anne persistently ignored. But the rivalry was there, and honors fluctuated between them. Now Gilbert was head of the spelling class. Now Anne, with a toss of her long red braids, spelled him down. One morning Gilbert had all his sums done correctly and had his name written on the blackboard on the roll of honor. The next morning, Anne, having wrestled wildly with decimals the entire evening before, would be first. One awful day, they were ties and their names were written up together. It was almost as bad as to take notice, and Anne's mortification was as evident as Gilbert's satisfaction. When the written examinations at the end of each month were held, the suspense was terrible. The first month, Gilbert came out 3 marks ahead. The second, Anne beat him by 5. But her triumph was marred by the fact that Gilbert congratulated her heartily before the whole school. It would have been ever so much sweeter to her if he had felt the sting of his defeat. Mr. Phillips might not be a very good teacher, but a pupil so inflexibly determined on learning as Anne was, could hardly escape making progress under any kind of teacher. By the end of the term, Anne and Gilbert were both promoted into the 5th class and allowed to begin studying the elements of the branches, by which Latin, geometry, French, and algebra were meant. In geometry, Anne met her Waterloo.
It's perfectly awful stuff, Marilla.
She groaned.
I'm sure I will never be able to make head or tails of it. There's no scope for imagination in it at all. Mr. Phillips says I'm the worst dunce he ever saw at it, and Gil, I mean, some of the others are so smart at it. It's extremely mortifying, Marilla. Even Diana gets along better than I do, but I don't mind being beaten up by Diana. Even although we met as strangers now, I still love her with all indistinguishable love. It makes me very sad at times to think about her. But really, Marilla, one can't stay sad very long in such an interesting world, can one?
End of chapter. Chapters? What's that? Sorry, you guys. Is that 18? Yes, that's 18. Chapter 18.
XVIII.
Yeah, chapter
18.
18. Chapter 18. Anne to the rescue. All things great are wound up with all things little. At first glance, it might not seem that the decision of a certain Canadian premier to include Prince Edward Island in a political tour could have much or anything to do with the fortunes of little Anne Shirley at Green Gables. But it had. It was in January the premier came to address his loyal supporters and such of his non-supporters as chose to be present at the monster mass meeting held in Charlottetown. Most of the Avonlea people were on the premier's side of the politics. Hence, on the night of the meeting, nearly all the men and a goodly portion of the women had gone to town 30 miles away. Mrs. Rachel Lynde had gone too. Mrs. Rachel Lynde was a red-hot politician and couldn't have believed that the political rally could be carried through without her, although she was on the opposite side of the politics. So, she went to town and took her husband, Thomas. Thomas would be useful in looking after the horse. Sorry, that's hilarious. And Marilla Cuthbert with her. Marilla had a sneaking interest in politics herself, and as she thought it might be her only chance to see a real-life premiere, she promptly took it, leaving Anne and Matthew to keep house until her return the following day. Hence, while Marilla and Mrs. Rachel were enjoying themselves hugely at the mass meeting, Anne and Matthew had the cheerful kitchen at Green Gables all to themselves. A bright fire was glowing in the old-fashioned Waterloo stove, and blue-white frost crystals were shining on the window panes. Matthew nodded over a farmer's advocate on the sofa, and Anne at the table studied her lessons with grim determination, despite sundry wistful glances at the clock shelf, where lay a new book that Jane Andrews had lent her that day. Jane had assured her that it was warranted to produce any number of thrills or words to that effect, and Anne's fingers tingled to reach out for it. But that would mean Gilbert Blythe's triumph on the morrow. Anne turned her back on the clock shelf and tried to imagine that it wasn't there.
Matthew, did you ever study geometry when you went to school?
Well, no, I didn't.
Said Matthew, coming out of his doze with a start.
I wish you had,
Sighed Anne.
because then you'd be able to sympathize with me. You can't sympathize properly if you never studied it. It is casting a cloud over my whole life. I'm such a dunce at it, Matthew.
Well, now, I don't know.
Said Matthew soothingly.
I guess you're all right at not anything. Mr. Phillips told me last week in Blair's store that at Carmody that you was the smartest scholar in school and was making rapid progress. Rapid progress was his very words. There's them that runs down Teddy Phillips. There's them as runs down Teddy Phillips and says he ain't much of a teacher, but I guess he's all right.
Matthew would have thought anyone who praised Anne was all right.
I'm sure it'd get on better with geometry if only he wouldn't change the letters.
Complained Anne.
I learned the prepositions off by heart, and then he writes on the blackboard and puts different letters from what they are in the book, and I get all mixed up. I don't think a teacher should take such a mean advantage, do you? We are studying agriculture now, and I've found out at last what makes the roads red. It's a great comfort. I wonder how Marilla and Mrs. Lynch are enjoying themselves. Mrs. Lynch says Canada is going to the dogs the way things are being run at Ottawa, and that it's an awful warning to the electors. She says if women were allowed to vote, we would see a blessed change. What way do you vote, Matthew?
Conservative.
Said Matthew promptly. To vote conservative was part of Matthew's religion.
Then I'm conservative too.
Said Anne decidedly.
I'm glad because some of the boys in school are Grits. I guess Mr. Phillips is a Grit too because Prissy Andrews' father is one, and Ruby Gills says that when a man is courting, he always has to agree with the girl's mother in religion, and her father is in her father in politics. Is that true, Matthew?
Oh no, I don't know.
Said Matthew.
Did you ever
Did I
go
cut out? I'm
courting,
sorry.
Matthew?
No, no, you didn't cut out. Sorry, go ahead, Remy.
Oh, did you ever go courting, Matthew?
Well, now, no, I don't know as I ever did.
Said Matthew, who had certainly never thought of such a thing in his whole existence. Anne reflected with her chin in her hands.
It must be rather interesting, don't you think, Matthew? Ruby Gills says when she grows up, she's going to have ever so many bills on the string and have them all crazy about her. But I think that would be too exciting. I'd rather have just one in his right mind. But Ruby Gills knows a great deal about such matters because she has so many big sisters, and Mr. Lynch says that Gills girls have gone off like hotcakes. Mr. Phillips goes up to see Prissy Andrews nearly every evening. He says it is to help her with her lessons, but Miranda Sloane is studying for Queen's too. And I should think she needed help a lot more than Prissy because she's ever so much stupider. But he never goes to help her in the evenings at all. There are a great many things in this world that I can't understand very well, Matthew.
Well, now, I don't know as I comprehend them all myself.
Acknowledged Matthew.
Well, I suppose I must finish up my lessons. I won't allow myself to open that new book Jane lent me until I'm through. But it's a terrible temptation, Matthew. Even when I turn back on it, I can see it right there just as plain. Jane said she cried herself sick over it. I love a book that makes me cry. But I think I'll carry that book into the sitting room and lock it in the gem closet and give you the key. And you must not give it to me, Matthew, until my lessons are done. Not even if I implore to you on my bended knees. It's all very well to say resist temptation, but it's ever so much easier to resist it if you can't get the key. And then, shall I run down the cellar and get some ruses? Matthew, wouldn't you like some rusets?
Well, no, I don't know, but what, what I would.
Said Matthew, who never ate russets but knew Anne's weakness for them. Just as Anne emerged triumphantly from the cellar with her plate full of russets, came the sound of flying footsteps on the icy boardwalk outside, and the next morning, no, and the next mo sorry guys, and the next moment, the kitchen door was flung open, and in rushed Diana Barry, white-faced and breathless, with a shawl wrapped hastily around her head. Anne promptly let go of her candle and plate with surprise, and plate, candle, and apples crashed together down the cellar ladder and were found at the bottom embedded in melted grease, the next day by Marilla, who gathered them up and thanked mercy the house hadn't been set on fire.
What is the matter, Diana?
Cried Anne.
Has your mother relented at last?
Oh, Anne, do come quick.
Implored Diana nervously.
Minnie May is awful sick. She's got croup. Young Mary Joe says. And father and mother are away to town, and there's nobody to go for the doctor. Minnie May is awful bad, and young Mary Joe doesn't know what to do. And oh, Anne, I'm so scared.
Matthew, without a word, reached out for cap and coat, slipped past Diana, and away into the darkness of the yard.
He's gone to harness some sorrel mare to go to the Carmody for the doctor.
Said Anne, who was hurrying on hood and jacket.
I know it as well as if he said so. Matthew and I are such kindred spirits, I can read his thoughts without words at all.
I I don't believe he'll find the doctor at Carmody.
Sobbed Diana.
I know that Dr. Blair went to town, and I guess Dr. Spencer would go too. Young Mary Joe never saw anybody with croup, and Mrs. Lynde is away. Oh, Anne.
Don't cry, Di.
Said Anne cheerily.
I know exactly what to do for a group. You forget that Mrs. Hammond had twins 3 times. When you look after 3 pairs of twins, you naturally get a lot of experience. They all had croup regularly. Just wait till I get the ipecac bottle. You mayn't have any at your house. Come on now.
The two little girls hastened out, hand in hand, and hurried through Lover's Lane and across the crusted field beyond, for the snow was too deep to go by the shorter wood way. Anne, although sincerely sorry for Minnie May, was far from being insensible to the romance of the situation and to the sweetness of once more sharing that romance with a kindred spirit. The night was clear and frosty, all ebony of shadow and silver of snowy slope. Big stars were shining over the silent fields. Here and there the dark pointed firs stood up with snow harder in their branches and the wind whistling through them. Anne thought it was truly delightful to go skimming through all this mystery and loveliness with your bosom friend who had been so long estranged. Minnie May, aged 3, was really sick. She lay on the kitchen sofa, feverish and restless, while her hoarse breathing could be heard all over the house. Young Mary Joe, a buxom, broad-faced French girl from the creek, whom Mrs. Barry had engaged to stay with the children during her absence, was helpless and bewildered, quite incapable of thinking what to do or doing it if she thought of it. Anne went to work with skill and promptness.
Minnie May has croup all right. She's pretty bad, but I've seen them worse. First, we must have lots of hot water. I declare, Diana, there isn't more than a cupful in the kettle. There, I filled it up. And Mary Jo, you may put some wood in the stove. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but it seems to me that you might have thought of this before if you'd any imagination. Now, I will undress Minnie May and put her to bed, and you try to find some soft flannel cloth, Diana. I'm going to give her a dose of ipecac first of all.
Minnie May did not take kindly to the ipecac, but Anne had not brought up 3 pairs of twins for nothing. Down that ipecac went, not only once, but many times during the long, anxious night, when the 2 little girls worked patiently over the suffering Minnie May, and young Mary Joe, honestly anxious to do all that she could, kept up a roaring fire and heated more water than would have been needed for a hospital of croupy babies. It was still 3 o'clock when Matthew came with the doctor, for he had been obliged to go all the way to Spencervale for one, but the pressing need for assistance was past. Minnie May was much better and was sleeping soundly.
I was awfully near giving up in despair.
Explained Anne.
She got worse and worse until she was sicker than ever the Hammond twins were. Even the last pair, I actually thought she was going to choke to death. I gave her every drop of ipecac in that bottle, and when the last dose went down, I said to myself, not to Diana or young Mary Jo, because I didn't want to worry them any more than they were worried. But I had to say it to myself just to relieve my feelings. This is the last lingering hope, and I fear this a vain one. But in about 3 minutes, she coughed up the plague and began to get better right away. You must just imagine my relief, doctor, because I can't express it in words. You know there are some things that cannot be expressed in words.
Yes, I know.
Nodded the doctor. He looked at Anne as if he were thinking some things about her that couldn't be expressed in words. Later on, however, he expressed them to Mr. and Mrs. Barry.
That little red-headed girl they have over at the Cuthberts is as smart as they make 'em. I tell you, she saved that baby's life, for it would have been too late by the time I got there. She seems to have a skill and presence of mind perfectly wonderful for a child of her age. I never saw anything like the eyes of her when she was explaining to me the cause.
Anne had gone home in the wonderful, oh sorry, Anne had gone home in the wonderful white frosted winter morning, heavy-eyed from loss of sleep, but still talking unweariedly to Matthew as they crossed the long white field and walked under the glittering fairy arch of the Lover's Lane maples.
Oh, Matthew, isn't it a wonderful morning? The world looks like something God had just imagined from His own pleasure, doesn't it? Those trees look as if I could blow them away with a brief poof. I'm so glad I live in a world where there are white frosts, aren't you? And I'm so glad Mrs. Hamilton had three pairs of twins after all. If she hadn't, I mightn't have known what to do for Minnie May. I'm really, I'm real sorry I was ever cross with Mr. Hammond for having twins. But, oh, Matthew, I'm so sleepy. I can't go to school. I just know I couldn't keep my eyes open and I'd be so stupid. But I hate to stay home. For you, some of the others will get ahead of the class, and it's so hard to get up again. Although, of course, the harder it is, the more satisfaction you have when you get up. Haven't you?
Well, now, I guess you'll manage all right.
said Matthew, looking at Anne's white little face and the dark shadows under her eyes.
You just go right to bed and have a good sleep. I'll do all the chores.
Anne accordingly went to sleep and slept so long and soundly that it was well on in the white and rosy winter afternoon when she awoke and descended to the kitchen where Marilla, who had arrived home in the meantime, was sitting knitting.
Oh, did you see the premiere?
Exclaimed Anne at once,
What did he look like, Marilla?
Well, he never got to be premier on account of his looks.
said
Such
Marilla.
a nose as that man had. But he can speak. I was proud of being a conservative. Rachel Lynde, of course, being a liberal, had no use for him. Your dinner is in the oven, Anne, and you can get yourself some blue plum preserve out of the pantry. I guess you're hungry. Matthew has been telling me about last night. I must say it was fortunate you knew what to do. I wouldn't have had any idea myself, for I never saw a case of croup. There now, never mind talking till you've had your dinner. I can tell by the look of you that you're just full up with speeches, but they'll keep.
Marilla had something to tell Anne, but she did not tell it just then, for she knew that if she did, Anne's consequent excitement would lift her clear out of the region of such material matters as appetite or dinner. Not until Anne had finished her saucer of blue plums did Marilla say,
Mrs. Barry was here this afternoon, Anne. She wanted to see you, but I wouldn't wake you up. She says you saved Minnie May's life, and she is very sorry she acted as she did in that affair of the currant wine. She says she knows now you didn't mean to set Diana drunk, and she hopes you'll forgive her and be good friends with Diana again. You're to go over this evening if you like, for Diana can't stir outside the door on account of a bad cold she caught last night. Now, Anne Shirley, for pity's sake, don't fly up into the air.
the warning seemed not unnecessary. So uplifted and aerial was Anne's expression and attitude as she sprang to her feet, her face irradiated with the flame of her spirit.
Oh, Marilla, can I go right now without washing my dishes? I will wash them when I come back, but I cannot tie myself down to anything so unromantic as dishwashing as this thrilling moment.
Yes, yes, run along.
Said Marilla indulgently.
Anne Shirley, are you crazy? Come back this instant and put something on you. I might as well call to the wind. She's gone without a cap or wrap. Look at her tearing through the orchard with her hair streaming. It'll be a mercy if she doesn't catch her death of cold.
Anne came dancing home in the purple winter twilight across the snowy places. Afar in the southwest was the great shimmering pearl-white sparkle of an evening star in a sky that was pale golden and ethereal rose over gleaming white spaces and dark glens of spruce. The tinkles of sleigh bells among the snowy hills came like elfin chimes through the frosty air. But their music was not sweeter than the song in Anne's heart and on her lips.
You see, before you, a perfect happy person, Marilla.
She announced.
I'm perfectly happy. Yes, in spite of my red hair, just at present, I have a soul above red hair. Mrs. Barry kissed me and cried and said she was so sorry and she could never repay me. I felt fearful and embarrassed, Marilla, but I, but I just said as politely as I could, I have no hard feelings for you, Mrs. Barry. I assure you once for all that I did not mean to intoxicate Diana, and henceforth I shall cover the path with the mantle of oblivion. That was a pretty dignified way of speaking, wasn't it, Marilla? I felt that I was heaping coals of fire on Mrs. Barry's head, and Diana and I had a lovely afternoon. Diana showed me a new fancy crochet stitch. Her aunt over at Carmody taught her. Not a soul in Avonlea knows it but us, and we pledge a solemn vow never to reveal it to anyone else. Diana gave me a beautiful card with a rich wreath of roses on it and a vase of poetry, verse of poetry. If you love me as I love you, nothing but death can part us two. And that is true, Marilla. We are going to ask Mr. Phillips to let us sit together at school again. And Gertie Pye can go with Minnie Andrews. We have an elegant tea. Mrs. Barry had the very best china set out, Marilla, just as if I was real company. I can tell you what a thrill it gave me. Nobody ever used their very best china on my account before. And we had fruit cake and pound cake and donuts and two kinds of preserves, Marilla. And Mrs. Barry asked me if I took tea and said, Pa, why don't you pass the biscuits to Anne? It must be lovely to be grown up, Marilla, when just being treated as if you were is so nice.
I don't know about that,
said Marilla with a brief sigh.
Well, anyway, when I am grow up,
said Anne decidedly.
I am always going to talk to the little girls as if they were too. And I will never laugh when they use big words. I know from sorrowful experience how that hurts one's feelings. After tea, Diana and I made teff. The teff wasn't very good, I suppose because neither Diana nor I had ever made any before. Diana left me to stir it while she buttered the plates, and I forgot and let it burn. And then, when we set it out or on the platform to cool, the cat walked over one plate, and that had to be thrown away. But the marketing of it was splendid fun. Then, when I came home, Mrs. Barry asked me to come over as often as I could, and Diana stood at the window and threw kisses at me all the way down to the lovers' lane. I assure you, Marilla, that I feel like praying tonight, and I'm going to think out a special brand new prayer in honor of the occasion.
End of chapter. Yay! They have been reunited, you guys.
Yay!
So all's well that ends well. Thank you so much. By the way, hi Remy. Good job on all those. Whoever reads Anne,
Thank you.
it's always it's a marathon of speaking. Oh, hello, welcome, welcome.
Especially when Anne gets so excited, like every time she's excited, it's like, oh, I feel so bad for you, Marilla. I know you have to deal with that chatterbox all the time.
And the things she said, like,
I hope.
Yeah, what was that, Haremy?
I hope that the line with the dishes washing wasn't that bad. I felt like she would be the person who wants to run for things would talk running as well.
Right. And I don't know, for Anne, it's hilarious to me because Anne, who has never really gone to well, she has gone to school, but just the language that she uses, like what was that she told Mrs. Barry? She said, let me see. Oh my gosh. Henceforth I shall cover the past. Yeah, I have no hard feelings for you, but the next one is, henceforth I shall cover the past with the mantle of oblivion. Good Lord. Okay. You could have just said, like, let's, just forgive and forget. It's all cool.
Or just patch it.
I thought you meant when you said what she said to Mrs. Barry, when she said, I am well in body, although considerably rumpled in spirit.
Oh, that was also golden. That one was also really good.
So many times in her introduction, I thought maybe she uses these big words to sound smart. Maybe she's not actually as clever as she tries to sound. But I mean, the doctor is impressed by her teacher, who admittedly isn't a very good teacher, but even he can see this girl is smart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the girl is smart. She's overly dramatic, and she gets excited and goes into these long-winded speeches all the time. It's just, yeah, she is very, very, very smart and very imaginative.
Yes.
That's the combination.
Yeah, and it's really nice because she is. I don't think there's anybody in Avonlea who is like that. I think that everybody is so set on their own their own ways of doing things, and just having this, somebody who's from outside of the island who is like absolutely like quirky, and I don't know, it's just a breath of fresh air. Kind of brings to mind how Gilbert, when he was trying to get her attention, he was saying like he wanted to get the attention of this girl who looked like none of the other girls in Avonlea, because she was just like so unique, I guess. So she bemoans the fact that she is not like the other girls in the fact that she doesn't wear the same clothes, and she's not cute. She has red hair. But honestly, those are the things that make
and
her...
freckles.
Yeah, and freckles. Don't forget the freckles. But those are the things that, like, in the long run, end up being good, because...
Cute!
She's cute, and she is whimsical and quirky and adorable. I don't know. I think she's super cute. Yes, Turoshimak, she does have a good nose.
She has a very pretty nose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty nose, Patrick. What was that?
And then if you think, I was going to say, if you think about it from a contemporary sense, wasn't there also a time wherein some beauty influencers would quite literally draw on fake freckles on their faces?
Oh yes. Yes, and it's not that long ago too. They have the little button nose and freckles. Yep. I mean, it's cute. I like, yeah. I agree. I think it's cute. Not that I would go about and draw freckles on my nose and stuff, but it's cute. Natural is better.
Seems like Mamo is advanced for her era.
Oh yeah, Mao. Now Mama had to do it for survival, though. It wasn't a vanity thing. Yeah, those were rough times that Mama was living in.
Mm-hmm. Although going back to Anne Shirley,
mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's just me, but when I saw the episode where this was animated, at the bridge where they're saying their romantic farewell, I couldn't help but get Yuri vibes from it.
Bad Akiana.
I mean, I get it because a lot of our entertainment nowadays is coded for romance. So, any kind of like of deep affection is immediately like, oh, these people are going to end up together. So, unfortunately, that's something that in this modern time, like, you can't feel like it's not usually depicted in our books or our movies that between friends there can be like a lot of affection, and it can be shown without people thinking like, oh, like, okay, also here's the thing that is amazing to me, like, guys, sorry, like they always have to like say no homo, but like, I really love you, my friend. Like, they have to preface anything that's sentimental or emotional with no homo.
Yeah.
Or
No
like,
homo.
exactly, right?
But then can you also blame me? Because with how they animated that scene, my mind was thinking, do they really have to stand so close to each other with their faces inches apart?
Okay.
Look.
Really?
Men can't be associated with sappy, romantic, feel-good vibes without, first putting a little no homo vibe on it. Like, hey, not gay, but this is kind of cool.
That is very sad indeed. That is very sad. I have a lot to say about that, but I won't. Yes, go ahead, Hiremi. Put us back on track.
Can I just say that I just find really funny how everybody says no homo or not gay. I don't mind at all, but I think it's so funny.
Well, exactly, because well, anyway, moving on.
Now, back in track, back with End of Green Gables. I find it funny as well how every few lines in is like, but Gilp, I mean the others.
So Magpie, there's an image in the hashtag voice chat channel that maybe you might want to share with the rest of the chat.
Hashtag voice chat? Okay.
See.
Hunting that down. Okay, let's see. Ta-da-ta-da. Here we go.
While she's looking for it, I would like to encourage everybody to like and subscribe and join the channel, and definitely support your Magpie.
Yes.
If you support you can have access to the Discord channel, and maybe you can join us in a future episode.
Thank you, Patrick. Yes, you guys do join us. We have snacks. Well, okay, so we don't have snacks, but we are snacks. So there we go. What better inducement?
What are we, the dark side now?
all right. So, just get on over here. By the way, I do want to say thank you to Red Tempest, who earlier he donated a super chat earlier while we were reading. I wasn't able to say it, and I think he's left. But anyway, thank you, Red Tempest, for your support, and also to Crusher. Says, behold, I have created a completely platonic image. Yes, there it is. Check it out. The Ghibli AI still, still at work. Thank you. Aw, this is the reunion.
That's cute.
Yeah,
That image is cute.
yeah. It's very much like in the anime when it has the same vibes, like same kind of heartwarming feelings when Anne ran to Diana's house after this whole event for their reconciliation or reunion or whatever you want to call it. Super sweet. Thank you for that, Crusher. Look at you. And so, let's see, anything else? She has a cute nose. Yes, she does have a cute nose. And I see in the chat, Akihana was bringing up the Yuri situation. Especially how the anime portrayed them kissing each other's foreheads. I know. A lot of people would be tempted to say it, and given that anime, there's a whole bunch of animes that have Yuri. You know, I don't mind Yuri stuff or whatever, but for this one, I kind of still don't get the Yuri vibes. But that's probably because I'm so used to Anne and how it was written, and kind of just see it as
we grew up
platonic.
in the 90s, and friendships didn't have to be sexual.
Hey, I grew up in the 90s as well. And yet my brain's been corrupted.
Yeah, blame anime for that. I guess our parents were right. You know, growing up, my parents didn't really want me to watch a lot of cartoons. Like, I know in America, have it so many anime was adapted for Spanish. A lot. But I think I only watched one, and that was Candy Candy, and that was deemed barely acceptable because it was almost a soap opera. I don't know whoever watched Candy Candy, but that was the one I watched growing up. And boy, was it full of all kinds of drama.
Speaking of bringing anime into other countries or dubbing and whatnot, did you know that there's an are you familiar with the Cardcaptor Sakura anime?
I've heard of it, yes, by Clamp.
Because apparently, by Clamp. Because apparently, I didn't realize it until much later. Like, I was already way past my teens. But apparently, the dubbed versions, or at least the ones that was brought into other countries, was pretty much censored. Because in the original, the one aired in Japan, the main characters there, and several characters actually, are actually on the spectrum. Like Sakura's best friend actually in reality has a crush on her, and then Sakura's older brother and his best friend are actually in a homo relationship, but that was not portrayed in the dubbing.
Oh, okay.
So it was pretty much censored.
Okay, I see. Yeah,
yes, because in that time, that was very taboo, so they censored a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean,
I'm
sorry.
No.
Not to forget about the thing that Sakura's parents are like teacher and student.
Oh, yuck!
Like Mr.
True,
Phillips.
Ew, gross.
They are.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe Tomoyo's mother, which is Tomoyo's Sakura's best friend, her mother and Sakura's mother are cousins. But not only are they cousins, Tomoyo's mom, I believe, also had a crush on Sakura's mom.
Oh my gosh.
Keeping it all in the family, very West Virginia style.
Well, very interesting stuff. All right, you guys, if you like stuff that keeps it in the family, and you know what to
Wow,
watch.
we're going on with this joke.
Sweet Home Alabama style. Well,
well, I do have to say, for our Alabama and West Virginia fans, I have to very much respect your cultures, because you're a very tight knit community,
really?
and it's almost like you're all family or something.
I have no comments. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. No. I have no comments, you guys, to say. Just no. Anyway, you guys, as Crusher would say in the chat, bruh.
Yes, I was gonna say too. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yes, very well put, Crusher. We will go with that. Oh my goodness, how in the world did we get to this conversation? It was such a wholesome read, you guys.
I blame Akihana.
Sorry, my bad. My bad.
All right, so let's go back to something that's kind of cute. I liked it, but unfortunately the anime did not put it. It's when Anne returns to school. She gets gifts from all the kids, the anime hasn't shown it, but there's a boy that has a crush on her. Except she doesn't like him because he has goggle eyes. His name is Charlie Sloan. But also, what was it? Also, one of the
Gilbert.
there you go. Thank you. One of the gifts that she received was from Gilbert, except that what did she do with his gift?
Drops it like a hot pan.
Yeah.
Yeah, pobrecito.
Poor Gilbert.
Yeah, poor guy. But you know, you gotta. It's okay. You can work and you can be strive and you want the girl. You gotta work for it.
I'm sorry, Magpie. It's been a long time since I watched Dora the Explorer. You know, it was way after my time, so I didn't actually watch it.
Mhm.
But what does pobrecito mean?
Poor dear. Kind of like that.
There you go. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah. Imagine you're Gilbert Blythe. You put an apple on your lovely one's desk. She picks it up. She's like, "Yes, an apple," and then she realizes it's from you. Puts it down and wipes her fingers on her apron.
Not just puts it down, but she drops it like as if it was like a
Yes,
hot.
like it's poisonous. Yes.
Again, pobrecito. Oh man. But I love that.
And he's used to being this playboy guy who's getting all the attention from all the girls, and this one red-haired munchkin of a girl, she's like, ew, I don't want to be anything. I don't want to be associated with you at all.
What a change. Go girl. By the way, I didn't. There's been several, or maybe just one that I can remember, but like a guy falling for the girl when I think we talked about this maybe in the last week, but I'll revisit it. I was thinking, like, what was the anime that I watched where a guy gets hit by a girl and that's when he falls in love? I know it happened here in Anne of Green Gables, but also remember, if anybody ever watched back to old anime. Hana Yoridango, Voice Over Flowers. If anybody, right?
Yes.
I know that. I know
Yes.
that one.
Oh god. Okay, I haven't watched the anime, but I watched the
Live action.
drama.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it was my childhood.
No, I watched the drama when I was like in college because I would have to burn time.
Which-
So it's the Japanese
Which
one.
adaptation though?
Japanese one.
The Japanese. I
Mhm.
saw the Taiwanese one.
Oh, Meteor Garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meteor Garden. It was all the rave here in the Philippines at that time. I believe I was finishing elementary at that time.
Oh.
Finishing grade school or entering high school. Somewhere
Wow.
along that line.
Yeah, I watched a Taiwanese one after I watched the Japanese one because I was like, oh, this is so good, but I heard that there's more, so I went and I checked out the Taiwanese one. And then not long afterward came the Korean one, which I was so excited for, but then it was a hot mess, you guys. I'm sorry, but Korean Hana Yoridango was a mess. But I still watched
I
it.
didn't watch
I
it.
still watched it. It was like a car crash in slow motion. All right, you guys. Sorry, we kind of went off topic, but suffice it to say, girls smashing or kicking or something another guy and love developing from that is not so not such a new or foreign concept as you might imagine. There's other works. By the way, the anime for Kana Yuri Dango, I watched it. I don't know, some of the objectionable stuff I can kind of like turn a blind eye on the live action one, but the anime just feels so wrong. Like I'm like I cannot. So I just, you know what happened. That's that part. That's where I was like, yeah, I'm not. I can't. So, but yeah, anime, live action, yes, live action.
Yeah. But then again,
Mhm.
You kind of expect it. I mean, when is a Magpie Live ever one without tangents?
Yeah, this is it's
Tangents? We never do tangents. I don't know what these tangents are.
ooh. Wait, somebody
Define
just
tangents.
tangents are anything and everything we want to talk about. Turushmak says, I didn't have access to anime until 2008-ish. Until then, it was just whatever was on the shelf at Blockbuster. Wow, Blockbuster. I didn't have Blockbuster.
Who in the chat remembers Blockbuster?
I remember I wanted Blockbuster, but it was more expensive than the next door kind of like rip off of Blockbuster, so we just went to that one, that kind of like
Hollywood Video?
generic. Yeah, like whatever home video rental thing, because Blockbuster was like, ooh, the fancy one. But so instead of going to the fancy one, we would just go to one that was closer and cheaper, and we would just get whatever that was. But yeah, Blockbuster.
Same.
Hmm?
I don't believe we had Blockbuster here when I was growing up, but we did have other video rental stores. We would usually go to this one called Video City or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just thought of an anime that the main protagonist falling in love with the or not falling in love with the guy. It's very reminiscent of a current anime that's going on that Magpie is not a super fan of.
Oh.
I think she knows what I'm talking about now that I've spelled it out like that.
Yes, now that you spell it out, yes, I do see the parallelisms. I'm still not convinced I'm going to watch it though. But thank you for
But
bringing it.
Jinchi is so much like Gilbert.
No,
Jinchi is so much like Gilbert.
look, at this point, it's not okay. It's turning out to like, as a matter of principle, I will not watch it. I just, it's, like I can be ordinary. I'll be like, just because it's super
look.
hyped, I'm not gonna watch it.
just because Jinchi isn't the emotionally constipated fool like your Ferdinand is,
Yes, exactly.
doesn't mean that he's a bad character.
My disappointment is great. Exactly.
Wait, are you talking about the frog scene?
Uh,
Oh, I wasn't
Patrick,
talking
are you
about that
talking about
scene
the frog
yet,
scene?
but I know the scene you're talking about, and I love that scene.
oh my gosh.
But I'm not talking about that scene right now.
Trash Max says, I'm missing out, Magpie. It's good stuff. Look, I know it's good stuff from a history point of view, but I just have personal qualms that I can't get over in my head. So you have to excuse me. I just can't.
Look, she loves all of her guys to be extremely emotionally constipated, like Ferdinand.
Okay.
Or like who was it from that show that we watched a couple weekends ago?
I don't know. I don't know.
The live action show. The one where I pointed out that he had
Mr. Darcy.
Yes, Mr. Darcy. Yes, Mr. Darcy.
Okay, but
Mr.
please.
Mutton Chops, who you forgave him for having mutton chops because, well,
He's Darcy,
he was the
of
perfect
course.
kind of guy.
Of course. But just to say, like, I like my fictional guys to be emotionally constipated. In real life, no. Heck to the no. No, I will not stand that nonsense. Okay, just yeah.
Honestly, Jinji isn't emotionally constipated. He's a spoiled brat. To be honest.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. All right, you guys. What is this that is changing? This is another that the guy is popular and the girl doesn't like him. What is this, Hirami? What's the name of this? I don't read Japanese.
It's Say I Love You.
Oh,
In English, it's Say I Love
Yes,
You.
you can see it in very small print, right beneath the kanji.
Mew, 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 mew. Okay.
Tsukite ii na yo.
Okay, yeah, I see it there. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I think Magpie's getting a little fed up with me right now.
A little. No. And then there's she almost kicked him in the face. Okay. And then there's another one, My Little Monster. I've seen that one. Okay, and then another thing, you guys. Now, I'm not saying that violence towards the guy is always whatever, like it's always good, because there's some that are like they take it to like the way extreme. Like they like humiliate the guy or whatever. I don't like that stuff either. Okay, so it's not like that's something that is good either. So can we have a proper balance? All right, I guess it's too much to ask for, maybe. So ultimately,
it is a trope.
You like what you like, and that's all.
Yeah.
That's all. Don't make me emotionally generate.
Not type.
Mhm.
Crush is,
No.
yeah, Crush has got a question.
Crusher, do not.
He's got a dare.
Do not. Do not.
Do
Crusher.
it.
All right, everybody.
Do
I have to
it.
get out of here because I have to bring these people to order. Darlings, we will see you on Friday. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did not mind too much our rowdiness here. But if you want more,
She shall never wrangle these cats.
well, one can try.
Or since she's a bird, her I guess that makes us birds as well.
Oh my god. Yes, you guys are my mischief. All right, darlings. We will see you on Friday. We have we pick up on stuff. I think we're heading into episode 5 content on Friday. So, hey, cool. Fun stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't read any of the chapters covering episode 5, so that's going to be helpful. Well, until then, though, we'll see you and take care. Say bye-bye, gang. Take care.
Bye,
Bye.
gang.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.